Well, good morning, everyone. Sorry about the delay this morning. I was having some difficulty getting the room opened. It wouldn't let me in. Good old computers. Gotta love them. They're great when they work, but not so great otherwise. Just bear with me here a moment. My charts are loading. I didn't even get a chance to pull up my charts because I was spending all my time with the webinar software, trying to get that open. Okay, 1 second here. Come on, there we go. Come on, computer. Oh man, is it Monday today? It's sure acting like a Monday. Okay, I think we're ready to go now. Well, thank goodness the market was off to a soft start this morning. Just review what's been going on. Friday session, very sideways. Thursday put in an incredible rally. I don't know. I know the market is a full-on bull market, but I just can't shake that overbought feeling like we're running on vapors here. Yeah, Mark says we're inside a larger sideways range. I would certainly tend to agree with that. Kind of at the top end of that big range. You see, again, here's Friday's session, Friday's highs around 61.24. That's where we're starting the day here. Oh, Anthony's a little bit bearish here this morning on the NQ. He says my target is 61.08. So Anthony looking for a little bit of a retrace this morning. Back down here near the median line. We have had a very small test of the extreme here. Here's the retest. Then we came back with a sell signal. So even though it did not print a number 2 signal here on the Raptor for the counter trend, you could qualify that as a counter trend signal if you were inclined. The hawk turning bearish here. things could be a little bit sideways as they get their bearings. Okay, I guess we're about 10 minutes into the day, so I don't know. Here's a first micro-macro cross lower. What I was going to suggest is that the market's kind of settled in a little bit already. Oh, that's a little bit out of reach, actually. It's okay to avoid trades you can't afford. You know, the temptation is just to, oh, great. All right, let's try this again. I was going to say it's okay to avoid trades you can't afford. There we go. And not, you know, readjust the trades just so that you can take it. Especially if you're trading with a smaller account, you certainly need to be choosy. So this, a first micro-macro crossover signal that's forming. That's actually a pretty high probability signal here on the Raptor. Oh, doggone it, Eric. On the Hawk. I may as well reboot the others. Because I have a feeling they are also going to give me a problem. There. Okay, this now that first micro-macro cross signal that we were looking at. Trend change signal here in the Falcon as well. The Falcon actually produced an early signal, a little bit earlier than the, no, I guess about the same time as the Hawk. I was going to say it's a little rare to see the Falcon actually ahead of the Hawk, but it's not impossible. right, so price now outside of the cloud, working a possible trend change or cloud crossover signal. We're trading in slow motion again. they go. You guys are just killing it here this morning. Anthony says he picked up $100 million. Nicely done, Anthony. Good move. Yes, Anthony was looking 6108, I think you said. Yeah, so we made it back down to the median line. Mark says I picked up 250 on that second hawk signal with 3 cars and 2 profit targets. Nicely done. So I guess technically the first micro macro cross engaged right here. If you took a second push entry or were just late on the signal, you would have had a chance to get in again right here. And decent little follow through on that. It is starting to look like the market may have a more bearish tone today. However, now we're at the bottom end or near the bottom end of Friday's range, where we can probably anticipate some buying to come back into the marketplace. Okay. Had some audio problems. Oh my goodness, nothing is working well for me today here. What I was trying to point out is the clouds have crossed, and we can anticipate a little bit of a pullback now. And if the new trend is going to continue, we're going to get one of these. We're going to get a number 1 signal. The buyer should be showing up here sometime soon. Still a lot of selling pressure. I'm looking at the Geiger counter here, and there was some selling going on here. The Geiger counter kept pulling here to the short side and holding. But, like I mentioned, the bottom end of Friday's trading range probably going to encourage a little bit of buying, I would think. Good question here from Dan, and it's not really out of context, but Dan says, an out of context question, how do I get the local time on the chart? You're probably going to have to email Ben, and Ben's email is support@indicatorwarehouse.com. But I think used to be a way to do it besides having to change your computer clock. The traditional way of doing it was, like I said, just to reset your computer clock to the markets you're following. So our cloud crossover signal that's forming right now, this is all the pullback we got, which is a little less than I was hoping for. We're right down here on the primary support line. And this is going to require me to cover the trade a long ways back because we don't have a whole lot of structure yet, right? We're anticipating the market to pull back into the cloud. Even though technically all the signal parameters have been met, this number one signal doesn't exactly look quite like this number one signal, does it? So my concern is, even though the signal parameters are all there, we may get a little bit more of a pullback into the cloud. So now this becomes a matter of logistics. Where do I place my stop so that if the market brings me in, I don't get stopped out? Well, if I use a second push entry and enter below the low, I can probably get by with running my stops at the hard edge of the cloud. It's a little dicey, but it might be enough to get me by. Just back to that clock question for a moment. Yeah, please do check with Ben. I know some of the software you can adjust for the time zones. Like I think the support and resistance suite, yes. The support and resistance suite, you can actually offset the time zones. If you don't want it to have a North American start, you can have it start at the London Open or whatever you like. The support and resistance lines will print at midnight New York time. We had to give them a time to refresh. So you see that for me, 9 p.m. is midnight New York, and that's when my lines start to print because I'm on the West Coast. So here's that pullback that I was looking at, that I was wondering about. And the hawk is printing a macro pullback signal. And we are getting some signs of support here off of the lows in that primary support line. All right, here they come again. can see I forgot to submit my order. There, let's try that. Oh, and they slipped me a tick too. Oh, stinkers. That's not a good sign. Normally, you don't like to see slippage, or you don't experience a lot of slippage in a market like the NASDAQ. Come on. Don't you dare tag me at break even. Don't you dare. All right, you know what? I'm going to try to stretch this out a little bit. I know I say take profit on target, you'll be better off, but there's not a whole lot going on in the trading room this morning. So we may as well try to stretch it out a little bit further. Especially if I can ride out this first little mini swing. Oh, look at that. They're just sticking to this secondary support line at 60, 90 and a half. Come on, get on through there. There we go. Oh, should we try for one more zone? That's really going to be ambitious. Let's see, what are we at? Yeah, see, that's a $200 move. That's about all we're going to get out of this swing, I think. Next support zone, 60.85. We're already well below Friday's lows. 60.85 is going to put us into Thursday's range. Yeah, kind of the top end of this little resistance zone before the market broke out, so I guess it's possible, at least according to the charts. Yeah, good. Dan says, I'll ask Ben, does it have something to do with the session template? I don't think so, but don't quote me on that. The other thing we could do, is we could just use something like a parabolic stop and just try to let the parabolics take us out of the trade. So we could swing for the fences, enable a parabolic stop. I'm choosing the parabolic because they're a lot more aggressive. Parabolic and the bar high low are the two most aggressive stop strategies in the assortment. Oh, there you go. Got tagged on the hiccup. So what do we think? Was that a blow-off? Market had some momentum there for a minute. Certainly fooled a lot of buyers into trying to buy it up. No doubt about that. Oh, and it looks like my stops may have been a touch early. So they did get down to the second zone, which was my profit objective. You know, when you have a market that seems to be in a strong trend, those are the times that you can look at these follow-up signals, these secondary signals, the ones that don't fall into the high probability category. If you're just looking for a place to get in, you're looking at your chart and you're saying, wow, we're in a downtrend today. You can start selling any of these secondary signals. and that will get you into the trade. The problem very often is not getting into the trade, rather it's where to get out if things go poorly. And with the Raptor, you know that if there's a retracement, it's likely going to be to the hard edge. So if you can't find any other structure on your chart, you can always use the hard edge. Dan asks, are the zone profit objectives always? No, not always. Pardon me. With the Raptor, we have a high probability profit target, just as we do with the Hawk, the Falcon, and the Eagle. The Hawk high probability objective, because it's a scalping tool, is $50 per contract. The Falcon and the Raptor, the high probability objective, is $100 per contract, and with the Eagle it is $200 per contract. What happens a lot of times is, well, we kind of blew past our profit target here, but what happens a lot of times is you'll get a signal, the market will go up to its high probability profit objective, and then you'll get a reaction. So that's why these targets are the high probability targets, or why we refer to them as high probability targets. You can see this morning, however, the market has pretty much doubled the profit objective. The support and resistance suite, which are these horizontal lines that you see, make good profit targets if you're looking to extend your profit target beyond the high probability objective. So here was the high probability target for the Raptor trade, and it came down. It was essentially, it worked out to be one zone. It doesn't always work out that way, but in this case it worked out that way. If you wanted to reach a little bit further and you didn't know where to look, well, I would look at the next zone as a profit target, and then followed by the third zone. The market will have a tendency, when it breaches the primary support or the primary resistance, those are the blue lines above and below the median line, when you get a breach there, you'll have a tendency to move two zones. So here on the upside, there's zone 1, there's zone 2. Almost made it to zone 2. Here to the downside, zone 1, zone 2. It's not to say we won't see zone 3, but there's a good possibility there's going to be a little bit of a reaction first. So there we are, come down. Now we're in zone 2, and there's a little bit of a reaction. We may get a bigger pullback, after which, if the market is still going to remain in a downtrend, we could see it try to sell off to zone number 3. On the very rare occasions that the market is moving very, very fast and very, very far, you can actually run out of support and resistance lines. That's only happened twice that I can remember. The support and resistance suite will also work for rolling your stops. I know Omar always used to use the support and resistance lines as profit objectives and places to place his stop. So Omar, who was a lot more aggressive, or is a lot more aggressive than I am, if he got a sell signal here off the primary support, he would place a stop here above the median line, and knowing that the market would have a tendency to move two zones, he would place his profit objective down there. Once the market had traded through the support area, he would now roll his stop from here to the above the primary support line. So he would use these support and resistance lines as places where to roll his stops. And actually, he would have done a little better than I did there. Then once he saw the market was through the next zone, he would bring his stops down again. And what he would be looking for is this little bit of a reaction and the market trying to regain the trend and actually closing below there. So then he would roll his stops down to the next zone, and boom, he'd hit his profit target. So that's another way that you can use the support and resistance suite. So here's that little bit of a pullback now. I think we can accept that we're in a little bit of a downtrend today, or at least for the moment. So we're getting yellow bars here now on the Hawk and the Raptor. That's suggesting the downtrend is weakening. The Falcon here is starting to flip over a little bit. The filter's already out of sync. The trend line starting to change color as well. Okay, a possible 4-arrow consolidation here on the Hawk. A late filter entry signal here on the Falcon. So the Falcon, pardon me, not quite as bullish as I thought it might be. Here the Raptor working a possible counter trend signal. We've seen a test of the extreme. No buy signal yet, but we do have the makings of a reversal, maybe. Not deep enough in to give us a hard edge bounce yet. So this one of these continuation signals that I was mentioning, you could read this as a double pullback. Oops. Stop that. Never hurts to take a second push signal, especially if you think the market's getting a little bit on the tired side, or you see a previous swing high or low that you're concerned about. You're wondering how will the market react. Well, go ahead, just let it react and then look to take your entry. You're always better off missing a trade than getting stuck prematurely. Personally, I think the market's going to rally up here a little bit. But hey, we're in the demo room, so let's demo. Sometimes the hardest thing to do as well is to stay with the trend. Yeah, I don't like these yellow bars. Yellow bars just show a market that's indecisive. The market momentum is shifting, or perhaps shifting. See, did they slip me again? Oh, got a little positive slippage that time. I'm guessing the volume is off again, only because it's like we're trading in mud. There's no action here, no follow through, or it's all in slow motion anyway. So here now comes a little bit of a pullback. If we get to the hard edge, we could get a continuation signal from there. Again, the bars are turning yellow, not something that you want to see. It just shows the indecisiveness of the market. It's not that I won't ever take a signal off of a yellow bar, but usually if I see yellow bars, I start thinking counter trend. I start thinking maybe this trend has had enough. Okay, and there now the counter trend signal. Are we an hour in? Yes, we're an hour into the session, and this is very often when you will see the market try to reverse on the trend. If there is a trend in the morning, about an hour in, so that's 10:30 Eastern, 7:30 Pacific, is when the market may attempt to reverse the trend. Could be a little profit taking. It could just be, the buyers waking up. Well, nothing going on here. We had a bit of a dry spell. All the momentum seems to have disappeared. Well, if I can get one more push lower, I'll start to bring my stops in because I think I'm probably pressing my luck a little bit on this trade. It's taking a little bit too long to get any downside momentum, which means that they'll probably try to push the other way. My stop's a little bit tight. I would probably do better with my stops above the median line. That would give me a little bit more staying power. And again, the hard edge, right? The hard edge is the profit objective on a counter trend signal, which we have just printed. Well, yeah, it's just turning into that kind of day, isn't it? You can see here the hawk already turning very sideways with all these yellow bars printing. That tells us that the market is consolidating a little bit. The Falcon already changing on the trend line, so that's also getting more bullish. The overall trend is down. It's just a question of, are you going to hold on long enough or be able to hold on long enough? Here we go. Here's that push lower, and come on, get through the lows. Oh my gosh, no, they're still holding on to the lows there. Come on. Isn't trading exciting? Doesn't quite fit what most people think of day trading. Mark writes, I do think the market owes us another move lower and possibly at the 60.85 level, but when is the question, right? Yes, that is the big question. And we're obviously in a consolidation right now. I can see the market just breaking the high and then reversing again, which is why I'm a little reluctant to bring my stop in above the 60.98 half area. Well, oh, here they go. Here they go. Things are looking up. Hooray! So got down to the break even. Oh, well. I don't know. Were we waiting on a report or something? That's an odd time for the market to rally at around 10 to the hour. Maybe everybody just got tired of waiting. Although you can see here on the Geiger counter, there was a rather substantial selling spike that came through the market. All right, ladies and gents, I need to close up the room a few minutes early here this morning. I have a meeting at the top of the hour that I need to get ready for. But please tune in tomorrow. We'll do it all over again. Hopefully the markets will start to get a little bit more active. If you're going to trade the rest of the day, I think a pullback is inevitable. I would prefer to stay to the short side, but I could also see the market kind of drifting into a sideways range, which is what tends to happen when there's been a rather substantial move. From here, it's very likely we're going to see the market just kind of chop sideways a little bit, at least going into the close. There may be a slight recovery into the close, and the market may try to rally up a little bit, but definitely we've got a bearish tone on the day. So I would look for a pullback and an opportunity to sell short, but I would not go too crazy on the long side or the short side. All right, I'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.